Okay, I know this isn't like a usual intro, but just cause I got my new hat from Creators Guild, the one that I won off of the $30, so I'm really excited. Although I can't wear it in this playthrough just because, one, they haven't sponsored me yet, and two, the lighting wouldn't work with it. The lighting just would not work with it, but yeah. Intro! Hey guys, it's Percolating, and we are back with Storytime Saturday. We are playing Cupid. We already know that. I don't know why I do it every time, but I love doing it. So you know what? We're playing Cupid. And be excited about it. Stuff. I don't know. Guys, I realized that last time when we played, last time when we read through, I wasn't in the same state of mind that I should be. Today, we are all good. I slept really well. I don't have to go to work tomorrow. This is the regular day that I should be recording instead of, like, you know, going out and doing stuff because I'm a bad human being and I should... Bad Dalen. But we are going to be playing through an entire chapter, no matter how long it tries to be. If it ends up trying to be a 3-hour chapter, we're recording for 3 hours. Let's do it. I've got the time set aside. We're doing it big. We're doing it live. And hopefully we'll do the rest of them like this so we can get through the rest of these chapters and then get on to our next book. But yeah, so all that being said, guys, let's get right into Cupid. But first, you guys already know we have a snack for the session. And you know what? I thought I'd take it back to the basics, and we're going to go get some strawberry pocky. We went and got some strawberry pocky, and that's what we're going to be eating throughout this session. I'm going to be really sad because it's going to be gone before I get through the entire session. But you know what? That's all good with me. Let's just roll into it. Psyche. In the once slumbering town, the streets were alive with flowers. Pretty young girls wrapped in thin white dresses lined up in their rows, tittering excitedly amongst themselves. Each maiden was armed with a basket brimming with flowers. When the clock struck 8, it was given the signal. Girl by girl, the rows progressed down the crowded streets, their dresses twirling as they danced. Colors scattered as they unloaded their baskets. Delilahs, tulips, orchids, poppies, sweet peas, they all spiraled across the air into the hands of the startled citizens. The young men on the streets sprang into action. They cheered and hooted and clapped and laughed, and the girls curtsied to them in return. Some intrepid boys even dared blow a kiss, hoping for a reward. And when the girls blew kisses back, they reddened to their tips to the tips of their ears and hooted in joy. Rose! Hey, Rose! At first, she didn't know who he was talking to, but then she saw the rose he flourished in front of her like a gentleman's magic trick. Well, I'll have to call you something, right? How about Rose? This particular boy, we are Rosa as a kid? Is this what this is? Okay. This particular boy had been at her tail for several days now. The flower festival was a good excuse for romance. It was around this time that the young men of the town went around wooing their prospective lovers. Most would have gone for a taller, more outspoken type of girl, but for some reason this boy was smitten with her. Go on, take it. I don't know why he has a surfer accent in France, but you know what, fuck it. He's getting a surfer accent and he's gonna be in France. Fuck it. Again with this stone cold act? Come on, you're breaking my heart. He laughed gaily, enjoying the thrill of courtship. Why? Why do you love me so much? Is that why it's bothering you? I'll tell you one thing, Rose. You better remember this for the rest of your life. When someone loves someone else, there's no need for a reason. I just love you, Rose. You want to at least smile at me? This dude sounds like a fuckboy. Anyway, you love me? Hey, look, she's got the Veggie Tales thing going on. The Larry the Cucumber type shit. I don't know why they always do that, but it makes me laugh every time. So, you know what? Keep doing it, artists. I'm okay with it. He flashed his best youthful grin. Sure, I love you. To the moon and back. She knew she shouldn't take the rose. She knew it was wrong. And yet, she also knew at this instant that her face was burning hot. Her fingers closed on the rose. Even as she felt the thorns on her skin, she held on to it. The expression on the boy's face was one of absolute bliss. He hooted and did a little dance. I do love you, Rose. I really do. He grinned at her. She looked sad. She's sad about this. To her surprise, she found herself smiling back. Oh, nope, she's smiling. Those subtle expressions. These artists are so good. A warm, pleasant feeling gushed inside of her. It was like tucking into a hot, home-cooked meal. Mother, I'm home. Nowadays, she and her mother lived in a quiet cottage far away from the main streets. The joy and exuberance of the flower festival had long since faded away now, leaving her with the stillness of the lonely house. Mother, are you home? There was no answer, not even a sound. Usually her mother would have heard the door open by now. She would have run up and plastered her with hugs and kisses. Now, however, the unnerving silence meant one of two things. One, Mother was not here, which wasn't possible because she was always here. Or two, Mother was angry. Rosa felt a chill run down her spine as she realized, was it possible that Mother had her suspicions and had followed her? Mother, I'm coming inside now. The sound of the door closing was like a clash of thunder. Rosa, bowing her head, descended deeper into the house. Mother was in the kitchen. She was bent down with her back to the doorway, washing clothes in a wooden basin. Do we get to see what Mother looks like? That would be so cool, because that's one thing we haven't had. We don't know what Mother looks like. We only know Mother as a figment of Rosa's imagination. Because just above Mother hung a cross. She looked just like normal Mother, but Rosa knew better. Because just above Mother hung the cross. It was a heavy wooden crucifix, and it had been there as long as Rosa could remember. It was so solid that if it were to drop, it would crush someone's toe. The girl knew this well. Having felt the cross so many times, she knew exactly how heavy it was. The sharp corners of the cross were especially capable of drawing blood. Mother dipped her hands into the water. Squitch, squitch. She crushed the clothes in a vice grip. Where did you go? Her sudden question sliced through the air, and Rosa almost jumped out of her skin. That is pure terror. Rosa's mom has to be black. That is a face of pure terror. Dot, dot, dot. Just to the marketplace, Mother. She tried to press the plump red rose behind her to stomp it and make it disappear into the ground. But it was too late. Tut, tut, tut. Mother stood up. Mother, it's not what you think, I swear. I'm not planning to see him again. I just wanted to make him happy, that's all. If Rosa looked at Mother any longer, she thought her courage would dry up, so she quickly glanced at her feet. I'll throw the rose away. I'll make sure you never see it again. So... Lord Jesus. The blow came so fast she never expected it. Suddenly she was on her knees, her skull throbbing in pain. She looked up and just in time to see Mother raise the cross another time. Fear overtook her. Although she knew it was no use running, she scrambled all the same. Mother, I'm sorry. I won't do it again. Lord Jesus, that is a heavy-ass cross. How much do you think raising a child costs you, little rat? Mother, please! Lord Jesus. Undeterred, the cross slammed hard onto Rosa's collarbone. She shrieked, rolled over, and tried to get back to her feet. Oh my God. What the heck, man? Mother's crazy! She's crazy! She's crazy! I clothe you! I house you! I even feed you! I protect you from everything that might harm you. And yet, I ask nothing in return. Absolutely nothing. Didn't I tell you not to go to that festival? Yet you can't help shaking your hips at those men, can you? All of them are the same, didn't I say it? Up and down came the cross. By now, Rosa had resorted to curling up into a ball and covering her eyes. She cried out her pleas, her vows of obedience and love. Do you have any idea how much I've sacrificed? What have I wasted my life for? To be stuck with a filthy little monster who betrays me every chance she gets. I have told you time and again. Do not disobey me. Mother! I should have smothered you years ago. Lord Jesus, you are a curse. I do all of this for you, to protect you. And you repay me how? With lies and betrayal? I should have thrown you out the window and watched the crows feed on your remains. It's not too late now, don't you think? Maybe I should teach you a harder lesson. Maybe I should leave you here right now and never come back. Worse than any physical pain, the girl felt a despair so big it made her heart burst. Rosa clung to her mother's leg. Please, Mother, don't leave me. I'll atone for this somehow. Mother, please stay with me. You are beyond atonement, you degenerate whore. Lord Jesus. Ma, calm down. I went to a festival. God damn. Is it that bad? Nigga gave me a flower. That's all. That's all that happened. Oh, apparently a flower is way too much. With one final stroke, Mother sent her spinning to the ground. The cross had hit her face. Rosa tried to open her eyes and felt something warm trickle down her face. She lay on the floor, crying. Her tears mixed with the blood, and she wondered if Mother was really going to walk out of the house. She could still hear his mother's footsteps, feet thudding near to her head. At first, they were hard and fast, then slow and hesitant. At some point in time, Rosa realized that the blows had stopped. She dared not raise her head from the floor, so she waited. Something touched her head. It wasn't a cross, but a soft, warm hand. A sound of a sob. That was really awkward. You guys have been really good with your transitions. That was awkward. What has happened to you? Darling, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. What have I done? Rosa tensed, but she allowed Mother to sit her up. The next thing she knew, Mother had her wrapped her arms around her. She was still crying. You poor thing. I'm so sorry. Mother is so stupid. Her tears were genuine and mournful. The sorrow in her eyes hurt 1,000,000 times more than any blow. I shouldn't have done that. The woman stared at her hands. She dropped the cross as if it was spoiled meat. The girl let her mother hug her more. It was her fault anyways. She had disobeyed Mother. She deserved the punishment. She drowned herself in her arms and felt the familiar surge of love. This was home. Home. No matter how broken. Life before Mother was a blur. She was nothing without her. Mother looked into her eyes and touched her face, wiping away her tears. She locked her lips around hers. She locked lips around hers and delivered a long, deep kiss. I love you so much, my darling. Please forgive me. I love you too, Mother. Don't cry. I'm sorry. I know I'm not doing the voices. That's because I'm kind of concerned. Because they lock lips. Not like a kiss on the cheek or the forehead, but like lips on lips. And a long, deep kiss. I'll try to get back into the voices. I'm sorry, that threw me off. Oh, you're bleeding. Just wait here. Mother sat her on the chair and returned with a roll of bandages. She began nursing Rosa's head with a delicate care. I'm sorry, Mother. No, I'm the one who's sorry. Forgive me for what I said. You know I would never leave you, right? Even if you have committed the foulest sin, I will never desert you. I will always be by your side. Thank you, Mother. I get worried, darling. You understand? Yes. I'm very afraid. Always afraid. Ta-ta-ta. The woman's voice dropped into a whisper. A sudden split second of lucidity. Like lucid dreaming, lucidity. You scare me. Huh? She shook her head, forgetting the thought. Just obey me from now on, promise? Mother knows what's best for you. Yes, Mother. Later on at dinner time, Rosa's favorite dish was on the menu. The vegetable and meat stew with brown gravy that only her mother would make. Rosa tucked in eagerly, all while feeling the cool bandage pressing lightly against her forehead. The events of the past hour had already seemed to fade away into the distant memory. Mother sat across the table, also eating. She seemed to be in deep thought. Mother? I won't see that boy anymore. If he calls out to me, I'll run until he can't catch me. I know you'll do the right thing, my darling. You didn't ask for all of this, did you, you poor thing? If only your father was a better man. Aw, they got a deadbeat daddy. That's not good. Here, Rosa prickled up her ears. It was rare to hear Mother talk about father. And even rarer to see her mention him so calmly. All throughout her life, Rosa had wondered about the man whom Mother had fallen in love with. Now it looked like she had the opportunity to glean a few more rare bits of information. Father? Was he good to you? Mother puckered up her lips and appeared to ignore this. Rosa decided to risk it and ask another question tentatively. Did you love him a lot? Mother's eyes were somewhere far away. Tut-tut-tut. I don't know. No emotion, neither pain nor fondness, registered on her face. But he certainly loved me back then. Maybe. Now I'm smarter, I know better than to trust men like him. You too will understand when you grow up. That people who love you will hurt you the most, and you will only have yourself to blame. After all, you gave them permission to rearrange the owings of your soul. Do not give anyone that permission. Rosa nodded, accepting her mother's teachings. Promise me, darling. When the time comes, and you meet a demon like your father, you'll take revenge for me. Take revenge for me. I'm taking another piece of Pocky. This is weird. It's going from one ear to the next. It's atmospheric. Oh my god. That's creepy. Rosa's hands were over her head. She pressed herself into a corner, panting. She had never heard Mother this loud before. Take revenge! I should probably try that again in the voice, just for voice acting's sake. I should give it a shot. Take revenge! This one was so loud, it rattled around in her skull and made her vision blur. Mother? What more do you want? The spell is already... She bent her head down, black spots creeping into the edge of her vision. She was so tired. You cannot hide anything from me. What is this about? What is this doubt about you nursing? What is this doubt you are nursing? You are hesitating. You are crafting another spell. You stupid harlot. ... That filthy Marquis is exactly the kind of monster I've been warning you about. You dare plan behind my back? I mean, it's kind of my own back. Also, Skype's on, and I didn't mean to do that, and I apologize. Also, even though I'm tuned into Skype, I totally have a bunch of... I still hear all the sounds in my headphones. You playing behind my back. I just don't want to kill anymore, Mother. She couldn't help but answer back this time. How could she not? After years filled with love and acceptance, it made her realize all the more how precious life was. The thought of snuffing out somebody else's life sent a detestable shiver throughout her bones. She had planned on running away from this place, abandoning whatever duty that now fell into her hands. Why was it her duty anyway? She just wanted to take good memories of this place and taint them no longer. Whatever truth she sought wasn't enough payment for peace. I don't want to. Her voice shook. I don't want to kill him, Mother. I don't want to kill anyone. Please. Is this cowardice or stupidity? You fancy him, don't you? Or you hate him? I'm back in the place of the mother. Okay, so I want to ask if you fancy him, because I want to make sure that she ain't gonna end up like, I want to make sure she doesn't end up like Candy or Candace. Catherine, that's it. I don't know who I'm thinking of, but yeah, Catherine. I don't want her to end up like Catherine. So you fancy him, don't you? That's what I'm gonna say. You fancy him, don't you? Or maybe. The voice petered out into an eruptively chilly silence. Rosa waited, sweat dripping down her brow. I knew it. You fancy him, don't you? You filthy whore! It's not like that, Mother. Past and present, rinse and repeat. Always a selfish little girl. Rosa was horrified. No, I'm not selfish. A selfish little girl that loves a murderer more than her own mother. With this final proclamation, Rosa was struck to the floor. The feeling of fainting was stronger than ever. Alone in the dark, she lay there, panting like a sick dog, waiting for what would come next. Oh, crap. Oh, okay. William killed me. He made me love him, and then he betrayed me. He deserves death. Only you can kill him. I can't kill him. It's what I want. That's not true. It is. You're my best friend, Rosa. Friends avenge each other, don't they? I don't know how true that is. My darling daughter. I could always count on you to do the right thing. So kill him. Kill William. Kill him. Promise me. Make him suffer. Stab him with a knife. Stick a dagger down his throat. Gouge his eyes out. Take revenge. Oh my God. Might I just add, I think I did some pretty A1 voice acting just then. Switching back and forth like goddamn Jeff Dunham in this motherfucker. Like, I think I did pretty well, personally. Rosa clutched her head so hard that she thought her skull would burst. For a long moment, she lay as though she were dead. 5 minutes, 10 minutes passed. Then, in the middle of the empty room, Rosa's voice rang out clear as a bell. I understand. Rosa knocked on William's door carrying a tray of food. She had been poisoning his meals in small doses for weeks now, taking note of any ill effects it yielded. There had been none. William was still fit and healthy as ever. No symptoms at all, even after she had increased the dosage. Either he hadn't eaten anything for a month, or he was immune to poison. Both possibilities were suspect. Rosa knocked again. There was no response from the other side of the door. It may have worked. It was not a total loss, however. She remembered Catherine mentioning how particular William was with his sleep. Just as she had been about to give up, she had ventured on this hunch. It was true, William was curiously rather sensitive to sedatives. Rosa had offered rose tea to William this afternoon under the guise that she had made a new recipe. It had been laced with opium and valerian, sweetened with honey to mask the taste. Whether or not it was the casting of Philia, he had drunk it without a second thought. He had retired early that evening. Rosa noted the grogginess visible in his gait. She snuck the master's key this evening. Tonight is her night. Rosa pushed the door to his room open. I'm turning. Oh, man. It took a couple seconds for her eyes to adjust to the darkness. It felt like a different world inside this room. By closing the door, it was as if she had cut herself off from the living. Rosa took an unsure step once she found her bearings. She placed the tray of food on the nearest flat surface, careful not to make any noise. That was really cool animation, I'm sorry. I like that animation. The candle she lit provided little comfort. It seemed to cower from the intimidating blanket of shadows. Rosa heaved. The air felt humid here, the atmosphere almost stale. You know what's not stale though, this pocky. Now that she was inside, venturing deeper, a sudden impulse to find the door gripped her. She looked back. It seemed farther away. Why was she so anxious? She had been in this room before. It was perfectly normal. Tonight was a different story. The room seemed to breathe. Rosa gulped. What a curious word. There was no other way to describe it, though. The flickering shadows made it seem like the walls were respiring around her. The room felt alive. It was asleep, like its owner, but alive. I just realized this single hair. How long has this hair been crazy? We'll deal with it for now. In the dim light of her candle, the red carpet looked like flesh. The furnishings were viscera. It didn't feel like she had entered a room, but a belly. She entered the belly of the beast. Something darted in the corner of her eye. Rosa snapped her head. Just a curtain. Rosa let out the breath she was holding in her chest, aware with every move her body made. She tiptoed in her Jordans towards the canopy. It was I couldn't even get through that without laughing. I tried to. I couldn't. It was perhaps the highlight of the room, an organic monstrosity of red plush and velvet. From afar, it didn't look like a bed at all, but a cage. If the room was a cavern of meat, then this This was its heart. Rosa approached. Every muscle in her body was tensed. She could see a figure sprawled out on the bed, limbs sticking out clumsily. He was lying on his chest, back bare, clothes littering the floor. William seemed to have fallen into the bed instead of climbing into. One of his arms stuck out from the mattress. His breath was fitful but slow, a light snore coming from him. What was that? Rosa looked around for the source of the noise, but the room was still. A slow trickle of sweat traced her spine. Did that come from the window? Should she check? Rosa didn't move. Something was in the room with her. She could feel it. She stole a glance at William, who hadn't moved from the bed. Rosa's ears tried to pick up the faintest noise. It felt like hours of her staying frozen on that spot, wishing to blend with the darkness. But there was no one there. She had properly imagined it. She took a deep breath and calmed herself down. The sooner she was out of this room, the better. Philia's effect would diminish once the candle died. After that, she might not have had another chance. She had to find out more about him tonight. The thought of her goal helped steel her nerves. Where should she begin? She took a step. Rosa darted her head, looking for the source of the skittering noise. Her ears were too sensitive now. She heard every creak and moan in the room. She took a deep breath. Focus. Rosa surveyed everything. There was a book by William's bedside table. It was only a couple steps away, but she'd have to come dangerously close to the bed. As much as she could, she'd rather maintain the distance between her and the creature on the bed. Creature. Why did she think that? Perhaps it was the arrangement of the sheets or the shadows playing tricks, but Rosa shook her head. Perhaps there was another place to look. We've come here to gather information. You should check the book. Tat-tat-tat. Rosa sighed. Mother was right. She had to check every source to be sure. She inched herself closer to the bed. The faint candlelight indicated that the book was on the bedside was red. It wasn't the journal she had seen William write in. Rosa tiptoed her way closer. William's hand dangled mere inches away. She reached her arms towards the book and swiped it noiselessly. The candle was almost went out with her sigh. She backed up from the bed with the book under her arm. And adrenaline surged in her blood. It almost made her smile. Rosa examined her prize. A book in a foreign language. She remembered seeing such thin, obscure characters somewhere. She wasn't sure which country, but it was probably Asian. She flipped the book and saw a piece of parchment folded on one of the pages. A sailing permit for barge named La Victoria, dated for the end of the month. 2 days from now. It outlined the cargo and the purpose of the trip with no date of return. Traveling? No. Leaving. William was planning to leave. This was a suspicion since she had started observing him. His sudden aloofness with the town affairs, the secret purchase of a ship, the decrease of servants in his employ. Now it was confirmed. It's just as well we found this. Oh, sorry, forgot that was Mother. It's just as well we found this. We must end it tonight before he has a chance to escape. Although it was a good thing to confirm the suspicion, the fact helped her little. If anything, it just made it even more urgent to find something tonight. She had to continue. She steadied herself and stepped back to the bed. Her hand finally brushed against the wood of the table, after somewhat quiet fumbling. She caught sight of something shiny inside the drawer. "Open it, child." Rosa pulled the drawer open ever so slightly. She peeked inside. Inside was an ornate dagger with a golden hilt set in with rubies. An old, delicate pattern was carved on its blade. Don't know why I said table. There was a heat emanating from it, almost like it was alive like the rest of the room. She almost missed it in the dim light, but there was also a key in the same cabinet. Let's take the key first. Take the key and leave the dagger. I have a bad feeling about that weapon. Leave it be. Rosa agreed with Mother. The weapon was as sinister as it was beautiful. She didn't want to touch it. Rosa took the tiny key in her hand, feeling the cool metal against her palm. She pushed the drawer back. William shifted. Rosa blew out the candle. She scuttled behind the small table. It barely hit her. William had changed positions in his sleep. Now his face was in full view and facing her direction. Rosa's heart banged in her chest. That animation, though. Sorry, I love all the small, subtle animations that they do in this. It really tells the story very well. I think so, at least. And you guys know I'm a story person. I love me some story. I love me some story. It was so loud, she was concerned the room might echo the sound and announced her intrusion. Rosa waited for a few minutes before moving. She decided to crouch down, holding the unlit candle close to her chest. Easy now. She shuffled away from the bed in relief. The candle was dead, but her eyes were now well adjusted to the darkness. She could make out a desk in the farthest part of the room. He must do most of his writing there. God, I keep forgetting. This is Mother's voice. He must do most of his writing there. There's a huge chance that the journal is near. It wasn't very dignifying, but Rosa decided to crawl towards it. Now that William's face was in full view, a flutter of the eyelids was all it would take to catch her. It would be better to minimize her risks. She dropped to her knees and placed her palms on the floor. What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? That was flesh being chewed type sounds. What? Okay, nope. Why am I saying things? Let's go find out. Let's click next. I feel like we're fucked right now. She drew her hands back. Was she imagining it? When her palms touched the floor, it felt warm. Wet. Her fingers were sucked into the floor as if she touched soft, pulpy flesh. The hallucination was so strong that her nose detected a spray of iron in the air. Her stomach heaved. She rubbed her hand. There was no wetness or blood anywhere. The floor was solid. It must have been her imagination. Rosa touched the floor very warily, patting it and pulling on the carpet fibers. Just a normal carpet. Rosa let out small breaths as she started to move once more. She patted her way to the desk. Every time her skin came into contact with the floor, bile rose up in her throat. It took some effort to resist the urge to gag. Holy crap, can we see that again? Okay. Finally, the desk was directly in front of her. She looked back at the bed. From this angle, it was hard to tell if William had moved. She hoped that the big desk also hid her in its shadows. Rosa rummaged. There was no trace of the book on the top of the table. She only found a pot of ink, loose sheets of paper, and quill. That damn thing had to be close. She opened the first shelf and found a stack of papers. Nothing. She shuffled through them, but the drawer didn't have the journal. She looked through the second drawer, and the third. There was nothing of interest. Finally, she pulled on the last drawer. It was locked. Guess who's got a key, motherfucker? Guess who's got a key? Rosa sucked the air through her teeth. Of course it's locked. How could I have been so stupid? Rosa slumped in a depressed heap. The key? Rosa looked at the key in her hand. She slid it into the hole and heard the lock click. A deep feeling of relief washed over her. The drawer slid open. Rosa looked inside. There it was. In her eyes, the green journal was a treasure. She lifted the book from its resting place. It was heavier than she expected. Rosa smiled. She ran her hands along the velvet cover of the book, savoring the texture. At last, she had it. Child. Mother's voice was riddled with anxiety. Something is wrong. Her excitement had clouded her senses. Almost at once, she felt the change in the air. Everything was still. Her stomach shrunk into its cavity. Fresh sweat broke out onto her scalp. This silence, it had weight. It pressed on her skin and made the air thin in her lungs. Rosa stood up. She had to leave. Now. Rosa shuffled her way out of the room. With every step, her legs seemed to stick uncomfortably to the floor. It slowed her movement. One more step. Her whole foot felt like sinking. She held onto a chair and staggered back. It was throbbing, musty and red, alive, and without skin. The air was filled with unmistakable stench of fresh meat. Rosa ran to the door. She didn't care that the handle seemed to curl around her fingers. She pushed the door open and spilled into the corridor. Rosa fell to her knees while she heard the door close behind her. It almost felt like the door closed by itself. In her confusion, she couldn't be sure. Rosa's heart pounded heavily in her ribs. Just looking at the doorway of the room made her skin crawl. Rosa gathered her wits and stared at the journal in her hand. She hoped it would contain the information that she needed. Oh God. Chapter 6, Good Intentions. Oh my Lord Jesus. This one was a shorter chapter, but it was really intense. There was a lot in it. And you can't get mad at me because I actually went through the entire chapter, so you can't get mad that it's shorter. It's the chapter, blame the chapter. But holy shite. What? So, you guys already know, I gotta try to do the recap at the end, even though I'm really bad at it every time. Okay, so, let's recap, shall we? Rosa has been poisoned. Well, first, we went back to Rosa's childhood. And Mother was an asshole even then. She beat Rosa with a wooden cross that was heavy as shit. Made that bitch bleed. It was ridiculous. And it was all because she went to the festival and some boy, like, threw a rose at her and started calling her Rose and thought she was cool or whatever. So, my dude was just doing his thing, and of course, Mother was like, nah, that nigga trying to get you pregnant. Trying to get you to be his baby mama. That ain't gonna work. And then Mama beat the shit out of Rosa to get her to fucking, I don't know, not do that, I guess. And in that flashback, she also talked about how Mother wants revenge. And holy shit, dude, she wants her fucking revenge really badly. It's ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous. She wants Rosa to kill William, straight up. And now Rosa's got two voices in her head, not just Mother, but also Catherine. And I'm wondering if Catherine is a projection of Mother's voice in just a different voice, but it sounds like Catherine. So like now she's confusing Rosa, but it could just be that Rosa's fucking crazy and just now has another voice in her head. Who knows? We don't really know. But both of them are telling him that William needs to die. But Rosa, 1, doesn't want to kill anyone, and 2, doesn't particularly want to kill someone who's innocent more than anything else. So she's trying to find out her information, which mother thinks is going behind her back. And shit, that's about the extent of that. Then we get to the part where she starts poisoning William slowly, but apparently he's not really deteriorated. But he does succumb to some sedatives that she puts in a tea that she claims is a new recipe. William just kind of... he goes to sleep early. She goes and sneaks into his room. And with the cover of the candle that she has, which is a lit candle, the candle of Philly, I believe, that she is able to walk in and pretty much run around his room. But his room is fucking weird. Hella weird. And she finds the key and a dagger. Don't know what happens with that dagger, but we know damn well that key got us that book, which is good. Part of me kind of wants to go and find what happened with the dagger, but that's something that we can do later if we ever decide to. But holy shit, too. She grabs the book after like rummaging, and intense emotions. All of her senses feel like the room just stopped, and she needs to get the fuck out. And suddenly her leg feels like there's no meat on it, or like there's no skin on it. It's fucking crazy. It's weird. We hear the squishing of fleshy parts. It was weird, man. It's fucking weird. It's so weird. But oh my god. Fucking hell. All that took place in chapter 5. I'm gonna take a guess and say chapter 6 is gonna be us looking through that journal. But we'll have to find that out next week. Guys, it's been percolating. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. And real freaky. I'll see you guys in the next one.